Their coaching staff's been put together. Defensive, do you know how bad their defense was? Joe Barry's the defensive coordinator. You've added some other pieces. Bill Callahan, not bad. I mean, you saw what he did with the Cowboys offensive line, but what would you assign a grade to the coaching staff now that's finally complete?
The defensive side?
No, just the staff in general.
I don't know, maybe like a C+, B- maybe. I mean, the Joe Barry signing I'm not a big fan of because that Lions team got instantly better once he was gone. I mean, so he made a bad team worse. You can argue that he had bad players, and I'm not disagreeing, but as soon as he left, that defense improved dramatically. So not a big fan of that. You know, there's not a lot of experience, and I think the experience that is on that coaching staff is probably not in the right places because it's the places that weren't really broken to begin with. I mean, so who knows what the quarterbacks coach is going to do? Who knows how much impact a defensive, inside linebackers coach is going to have and all that other stuff. I mean, it doesn't really matter. This team is going to live and die by how well Robert Griffin III does because he's the catalyst to this offense. He's what they put all their eggs in the basket for. And if Jay Gruden, the quarterback whisperer, can't get this offense off the ground, then the defensive side no one's going to pay attention to. It's going to be the focus of RG3 until this team starts winning.
Well, Chelsea, what mark are you giving the Redskins coaching staff? Obviously, the biggest hire is Joe Barry for the defense, but there's some other small pieces. But how are you looking at that?
I mean, I kind of tend to be in the same range, the C+ range. I mean, it's definitely nothing exciting, and I think the Barry hire is one that has a lot of fans very confused. What are we doing? Because, as you said, he had the worst defense in the league in a couple of statistical categories with the Lions in his 2 seasons as coordinator there. And I mean, the argument that he had bad players there doesn't really help him here because he doesn't have the greatest, most talented defense here either.
A lot different, yeah.
And I've seen comments from Gruden that he was running a 4-3 then, I think, and maybe he'll switch that here. Should that change everything? I don't know.
That's a whole other
right, that's a whole other issue. I mean, I think Callahan definitely is going to help out the offensive line, but again, you need talent there. So to me, it's sort of almost doesn't matter because the player personnel is such a bigger problem for them.
Well, Scott, Jay Gruden said that one of the reasons he wanted Barry is because he was so passionate in the interviews. Does that make a difference to you? And as far as the letter grade, what would you assign to that coaching staff?
Well, for the letter grade, we got some grade inflation going on over here. I'd say maybe C-, and maybe it's just because it's on the heels of Scott McCloughan, who was kind of universally regarded as an A+ hire for the Redskins.
That kind of tips the grading scale, right?
To be able to bring him in, but. Yeah, I've transcribed a few Joe Barry interviews, and he is a fiery guy. He's very fired up, and he's jacked up, I think is what he said.
He is also.
But if you believe that he talked about his time in Detroit, because that's a question that comes up, we talked about it, that you don't learn during the rosy times, you learn by going through the tough times. Well then, he, despite having only 2 years as defensive coordinator, is the wisest man in Redskins Park going 0-16. So the fieriness, that's great. You both touched on it, the personnel. I mean, if he can turn that fiery nature into getting his guys to play better, that'll be great. I'm a little skeptical, though. Jason Reed wrote the column about the experience, the lack of experience in the key coordinator spots, and I'm worried about that.